Hello everybody! Today we're going to make a gluten-free recipe. It's a corn cake with a chocolate ganache. Nothing can be wrong with chocolate, and the corn cake is very tasty. And as a non-gluten recipe, it's also very interesting to have that in your recipe book. Welcome to Cooking with Class Recipes. My name is Eric Frodo. I'm a chef. I've been a chef for 30 years, so I've been cooking a lot. With my wife, we own a cooking school in Paris for 13, 14 years now, and we also hold cooking classes in Uzès and soon to come in Seville, Spain. On this series of cooking classes that we're going to put online for you guys, we're going to use a lot of fresh vegetables. It will be fantastic for you to cook for your family. Some of them will be easy and fast and quick for quick lunch, quick dinner. Some of them will be a little bit more complicated, more sophisticated maybe, more challenging for you, but that's also the purpose, is to get to be a better cook. After you've watched the video, something you don't understand, you can always come back to us. So we're going to provide to you some recipes, some footage, a lot of things to watch on the internet. Are you interested? Do you want to cook with us? For today's recipe, those are the ingredients you need. You need some heavy cream, double cream or whipping cream, some dark chocolate, 60% minimum, 70% is better. The darker the better for that kind of recipe. White sugar, almond meal or ground almond, butter, of course, some eggs, and the corn flour. A little bit of vanilla powder. Then we use those molds like this. If you don't have mold like this, it's not a problem at all. You can make it bigger and put the chocolate on top. There's no problem at all. And you will need a little bit of butter to mold the mold, to butter the mold. Even if they are in silicone, I don't trust them so much, so I always put a little bit of butter. You can also use a little bit of grease in spray, no problem. It's not a very difficult recipe, so we're going to start with buttering the mold. The recipe you will have, the link at the bottom of the video, will give you enough to make 6 or 8 mold like this, or a larger mold like maybe like something it's like 8 to 10 inches max. So now we're going to mix the batter. I forgot to mention some salt. I almost always put a little bit of salt in my my cakes. Those kind of cakes are like a tea cake. You have that for goûter at 4 in the afternoon with some chocolate. The corn cake is just perfect. And after the salt, you put all the other ingredients except the eggs. So the corn flour, the almond, the sugar. You can always decrease a little bit the quantity of sugar. I don't always put the quantity of sugar that they ask in the recipe, but this one I already decreased the quantity, so it don't take too much off. Now we add the butter before the eggs. If you add the eggs too early, you will have a very hard time, because it's going to separate the fat from the butter, separate from the eggs. And then you incorporate the butter to your dry ingredients. You have the vanilla too. So the vanilla powder, if you don't find it, you can always use like maybe a few drops of vanilla extract. Try to get the good stuff. You see, it's very dark, but it gives a pretty good flavor. So now you mix that well. So it will probably look in a few seconds like a pastry dough for making pie or something like that. It's about that consistency. When you add the eggs, it becomes a little looser. So when it's loose, it's easier to fill up the mold. So I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're going to add the 2 eggs. don't use a whisk for that recipe. The whisk will incorporate too much air, and so they will eventually puff too much, and the consistency is not really what you're looking for. You want like a dense cake because you're making pretty small, so don't use the whisk, but you can keep doing that very well. There you go. And now we're going to fill them up. Your oven should be on at 190 Celsius, so 380 Fahrenheit. So you fill them up like this. So don't put too much or they're going to overflow. But a good big spoon was perfect. So with that batter I can do around 8, no more than that. The trick now is to be sure that the bubble inside are gone. Even if it's not flattened, it's not a problem. But you do this like we do for macaron, once or twice, and another time, so the bubble get up. And now we're going to bake it. See you soon. So while the little cakes are cooking or baking in the oven for about like 20 minutes on a pretty high heat to be sure that it's crispy and crunchy on the outside, fully cooked. It's not something that needs to be too much moist. We're going to do the chocolate ganache. Chocolate ganache is always chocolate and heavy cream or double cream, whatever you are. The chocolate, I cut it in small little chunks, if I can. Yeah, here we go. And I pour my boiling cream on top of it. So at the beginning, you see that it's boiling now. We're going to add only half of it and start mixing so the chocolate is starting to melt. Then you put it back to heat to boil again, to pour on top of the chocolate again. So now that the chocolate is starting to melt, but it's probably have cooled down the cream, we're going to add some new cream, very, very hot, so you really finish the melting. Here we are. When you're done with the chocolate totally melted, you're going to put it on the side and let it cool down to room temperature. It's going to start to be a little solid, a little jiggly. And just before we put them inside a small little cake, we're going to give a little whisk to give a little, I don't know, make it a little bit more lighter. The cakes are ready. They have been cooked. You can see that they are pretty well cooked. That's a cake you like to be kind of crunchy on the outside, on the edges. We're going to finish the ganache. So the chocolate is perfect. Now you're going to whisk it a little bit. So it's going to start changing color, getting shiny. Sorry. And you fill them up. Voila. So you can do this. You can eventually add like a raspberry or strawberry, some mint. Have fun with it. Like hazelnut. Oops. Enjoy!